Hearing to consider the 2025 proposed Lake County tax budget. Our procedure for public hearing is as follows. This hearing is being held in accordance with Section 5705.30 of the Ohio Revised Code for the primary purpose of hearing endorsements and/or objections to the proposed 2025 Lake County tax budget. The public hearing will be recorded. Will the clerk please waive, or I should say, the clerk may read the affidavit of publication, but this can be waived if there are no objections. Anyone want to hear it? Okay. Item number 3, the Lake County Budget Finance Manager is now being asked to comment on the proposed tax budget. Zach, would you please?
Good morning, Commissioners. The tax budget for 2025 is proposed to be on the agenda for the Commissioners' meeting on July 9th, 2024, for your approval. The tax budget makes up the funds that receive property tax revenue, which are the General Fund, Children's Services, Adams Board, Board of Developmental Disabilities, Crime Labs, Narcotics, and Senior Citizens Levy. The inside mills that were previously passed have not changed. The 2025 budgeted General Fund revenues and expenditures are roughly equal. After 5 months into 2024, our projected revenues are in line with actual revenues. I will have 2 copies of the tax budget sent down to the auditor's office by the end of the day for public inspection. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. I believe our county auditor is with us today as well.
Good morning, gentlemen. Mr. President, if I may approach.
You may.
I'm giving you my coffee. I'm giving you some numbers.
Thank you.
One for you. Coffee. You love coffee. Okay. So I was asked, and I know I had talked with administration about as we work to complete our 2024 sexennial revaluation, I was asked by your team to come and give some highlights and lowlights of that to you as part of this hearing and meeting. And so what you have in front of you is I've put together just a bunch of numbers that I think that might be useful to you in terms of understanding where we're going in terms of valuations for the next 3 years, keeping in mind that 2024 values are going to be based on sales data from the previous 3 years, so 2021, 2022, and 2023. We have completed, or mostly completed, our state-mandated reappraisal, and for those at home, keeping in mind that Ohio law requires a full reappraisal of all real property in a county by the county auditor every 6 years with an update every 3 years. So we call those the triennial for the update and the sexennial for the big one. So we have been going through the big one for the last year and a half, and that includes a lot of external parcel inspection, which we don't do as part of a triennial. That's more purely statistical. And so this is a much deeper dive on property characteristics and the underlying data that supports our valuation process. Keeping in mind that these values will be established for a lien date of January 1st, 2024, and that will be reflecting on tax bills in 2025 because in Ohio, we are a year behind. We are always chasing. So you pay your tax a year in arrears. I can report that our the work that we have completed, that our tentative abstract that was submitted to the Department of Taxation on April 18th, we were the first county in the state to complete and submit, shows a average residential value increase of 28.6%. And so that is our average residential increase. Now, keep in mind that can vary by taxing district, neighborhood, city, township, village. It varies across the board. Some are, when you get an average, some are higher, some are lower. And that's based on the sales and market activity in that particular area. But our average residential value increase is 28.6. That reflects data from the years 21 through 23. So if you combine that with our previous triennial update in 2021, that means in the last 6 years, residential property values in Lake County have increased 45.9%. And I will tell you that that is right on par with what we're seeing across the country and in our neighboring counties and counties across Ohio. And actually, in discussions with other county auditors, it's amazing how, very similar counties similar to Lake in profile, our numbers are very, very similar. Within a percentage or so point, up or down. Diving into some of the other classifications of property, average agricultural values for Lake County are up 31.7%. Average commercial values up 12.49%. Industrial values up 14.20%. And we track it, exempt properties up 12.75%, but obviously exempt properties don't pay taxes. So from a budget standpoint, that's really just, for your edification. It doesn't have any impact on any taxing district budget. Keeping in mind, again, that these vary depending on village, taxing district, throughout the county. I am also pleased to report, as of late Tuesday night, I got word from the Department of Taxation that they have approved our tentative abstract and the numbers that you see here in front of us. So what that means is that we were the first in and first approved. What that means is that my office will be proceeding with the next phases of this sexennial process. Primarily, we will be sending out a mailer, just like we do every 3 years. We did in 2021, to all 113,000 and almost 114,000 parcels, notifying them of their revised 2024 value. Those will be going out in late July. So people can expect to get those around that time. We will, as part of this process, we will be hosting informal hearings for folks that disagree with their value. So if you receive our mailer and you disagree with our value, the first step on that will be the informal process, if you so choose. And we will have several opportunities and means of which people can address that with my office and my appraisal team. It's going to be, some people prefer to just put all their data points and their photos and different things that they want to submit to argue it, and they want to put it in an envelope and mail it to us and have us just review it and get back to them. Some people want an in-person meeting. Some people would like to do what we call a desktop review over the phone with an appraiser. All of those will be available, based on what people's comfort and what they would prefer on how to handle that. But we will be doing those for in August. The actual sit-down meetings, like face-to-face, we will be scheduling for about 3 weeks from late August into mid-September. And at the completion of all the informal hearings that we do and all the review, we will work to finalize our abstract and then resubmit that to the state for final approval. And hopefully we get our final approval from the state, sometime in, early November, mid-November or so that we can do our work and prepare post-election. That becomes then the calculation on things like tax bills and whatnot going into 2025. Now, everyone has to keep in mind that if your house receives a 30% increase in value, that does not mean a 30% increase in taxes. That is not how it works. Through the equalization process, there are times, I can give you an example. Montgomery County last year went through their revaluation cycle because not every county does it every year. They're staggered throughout the state. They went through their numbers were very similar to ours. They had over 40,000 residents whose tax bills actually went down. And that can occur through the equalization process. And so the average, I think, in Montgomery County, and again, I'm just using an example because, and I know I'll be asked, well, what about my taxes? We won't calculate that till the end of the year, till we have a finalized value. We won't calculate that until we have a understanding of what happened with levies in the November election. Did they pass? Did some fall off? Are we removing maybe a bond levy in a community? So until that process is completed, this is only part of the calculation. So I know people always quickly race to ask me, what about my tax bill? I don't know. Like we will complete that work at the end of this process. But in Montgomery County last year, like their average tax increase was about 9%. So I say that as to sort of relax folks when they see that number and they go, oh my God, it has not, I've seen it around the state, it is not playing out, as the sky is falling. That said, I would also extend a small warning to those who live in school districts that are at the House Bill 920 floor. That's currently Willoughby, Eastlake Schools, Kirtland, and Perry. Folks living in those school districts will see higher tax increases than folks not living in a school district that's at the 920 floor. So, you may see a much lower tax increase in a place like Menor Schools versus Willoughby Eastlake. And if somebody wants to chat with me after, I can try to walk them through how House Bill 920 works, but it's extremely complicated. And basically, it makes certain guarantees to school districts, and if they're below this particular floor, any new value basically gets turned into the equivalent of inside millage, and so that's why taxes tend to go up more dramatically in school districts at the floor. So that is. That's an overview of the work that we've been doing in my office. I've given you a bunch of different numbers, just for for you to be able to look at. Looking at the 20-year sale price history in Lake County, looking at sales ratios, you'll see I've got some different, the number of parcels that changed by a certain percentage or a certain dollar amount in there for you, just to give you an idea of the range and how that's worked. I've also given you a spreadsheet that shows you the residential change in value by school district. Then you have a residential change by taxing district. And then subsequently, commercial change by school district, as well as commercial change by taxing district. One little note that you might quickly jump out at you. These numbers in front of you exclude the value of the Perry power plant. So if you look at North Perry, you're like, Chris, why is their commercial value down 90-something%? It's because that number's not in this abstract yet. We have a specialized appraiser who we contract with, who is completing his work on both power facilities in Lake County, and I expect those reports and those numbers in the month of July, and maybe as early as next week. And when we get those, we will then plug those into our final abstract that we submit in November down to the state. Taxation is fine with us doing it that way because they understand that those are complex properties that take a little more effort in terms of plugging that in. So Perry Local School District doesn't truly have a 72.77% reduction in its commercial value. That's because the largest commercial facility in there is is currently in the background data at 0. So that will be updated, obviously, when we get to the final steps and process. So that's it. I wanted to, let you know that, as far as your taxing budget, your tax budget, I think the most important element that you will have to plan for is that because of these increases, you're probably looking about, the counties probably will see about an additional $1.7 million in inside millage revenue to the county. That will directly affect your tax budget, and I'm sure that Mr. Underwood has accounted for that in those documents, and I look forward to having that down in my office, and we will put that on available for the public for review and display. Does anybody have any questions of all of that? Well, you guys are easy. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to update you. And as always, if any of you need anything from my office, or you do end up having questions later when you've done a deep dive on this, don't hesitate to give me a call or come see me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Auditor. Next on the docket, the board will now receive any written or verbal comments on the proposed tax budget. Audience members are invited to speak on the proposed tax budget at this time, or an agent may speak on their behalf after stating their names and addresses in full in clear and distinct voices for the record. The board requests that each such person speak only once, unless adding a statement for the record not previously made. Would any member of the public like to specifically comment on the tax budget? Hearing none. Do we have any written comments that have previously been given to us, Madam Clerk?
We do not.
With no commentary, the Board of County Commissioners will consider adopting the proposed 2025 Lake County tax budget at its regular meeting on Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 at 10 a.m. in the Commissioners' chambers. Additional written endorsements and/or objections may be sent to the Clerk of the Board of Lake County Commissioners, 105 Main Street, Building A, 5th floor, Suite 513, Lake County Administration Center, Painesville, Ohio, 44077, until 4:30 p.m. on Monday, July 8th, 2024. Any further business before we adjourn this hearing? Then this hearing is adjourned at 10:21, and we will roll right into our regularly scheduled Commissioners meeting. We are calling to order the 25th meeting of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our meeting today. May our discussions be fruitful, our decisions wise, and our community strong. Amen.
Amen.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here.
Commissioner Regovich.
Here.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Present. Next on the docket, we have regular meeting minutes for approval of May 23rd, May 30th, and June 6th of this year. Do I have a motion to approve waiving the reading of the same?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes. Next, we have our public comment, but we're going to begin with a special recognition for one of the greatest contributors to our Board of Elections, and dare I say, all of Lake County, our very own Tom Seymour, as we wish him well in his retirement. And if I could, I would be very grateful to first invite up Dante Lewis and Jan Clare, the current director and the former director of the Lake County Board of Elections, to say a few words about this incredible person and the hard work that Tom Seymour has given to all of us.
Thank you, gentlemen, for inviting me to speak today. And I want to thank Director Dante Lewis for allowing me to speak on behalf of the Board of Elections. When I'm done with my comments, I'm going to be calling up Chairman Dale Fallows, who would like to add a few words. For those of you who know Tom Seymour, You know he does not like to be the one the light shines on, and he likes to remain in the background. That being said, I'm going to ask my Marine to please join me and stand by my side as you have done for so many years. You deserve the recognition being given to you today, and I'm honored to do so. Don't read my words now. Okay. Tommy, as he likes to be called, joined me at the Board of Elections in 2008 as a part-timer to help Robin Tagliamani deliver our voting machines to polling locations. He was then hired full-time, where he learned every facet of the election process: voter registration, the petition process, absentee voting, nursing home voting, helping voters and candidates at the counter, voting equipment delivery, setting up polling locations, dealing with the public, balloting, poll worker training, and touched on campaign finance. When I asked him to take over the campaign finance, he tackled campaign finance with a vengeance, memorizing all the rules and regulations required by Ohio law. Tommy then went on to design a campaign finance Excel workbook that was recognized by the Secretary of State's office as an excellent tool. His workbook was presented to the other 87 counties to use for auditing if they chose. Tommy also has been a presenter at past SOS conferences for his knowledge and expertise in campaign finance. Now, anyone who's been a treasurer or candidate in Lake County has had to deal with Tom Seymour. I can recall a few times when I would take a call from a treasurer candidate that would go like this: "Jan, I'm scared." "Why are you scared?" "Because I have a message to call Tom Seymour. Am I going to jail?" And I'd laugh and say, "No, give Tom what he needs and you'll be fine." Now I want to speak to the character of Tom Seymour. Tom exemplifies what the people I worked with stood for, and we were a family. Honesty. Never did I question his actions. Tom is a man above reproach. Kindness. Tom showed kindness to his fellow workers and to the public. He is a Marine with a gentle soul. Loyal. Tom was loyal to his Board of Elections family. He would always have our backs. Work ethic. Tom was responsible, professional, trustworthy, and respectful. There was never a job that Tom wasn't willing to do. Whoever needed help could count on Tom Seymour and lend a hand. Helpful. The staff would laugh when I would say, "I need," and then put my hand up and say, "Stand down, Marine," before I would continue, because if I didn't say that, Tom would be out of his chair at breakneck speed, standing in my doorway, waiting for me to complete my sentence in 0.5 seconds. Tom Seymour loves this country, he loves democracy, and he loved protecting the voting process. Tommy, it was an honor to work with you. And on behalf of the director, deputy, the board members, and staff, as well as the Lake County voters, we want to thank you and wish you well as you start your next chapter. God bless you, my Marine. Semper Fi.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, gentlemen. No man more worthy of receiving this certificate than my good friend, Tom Seymour. If I could just be a couple hours for you to go over everything. No, just kidding. Just kidding, Mr. Hackman. So one thing, I've worked with Tom for 3 years. It's been such a pleasure. I've been friends with Tom for close to 13 years. That's been even more of a pleasure. It was tough to write a note in his card, But I just wanted to stress that friendship that we've had over the years, and then continuing on into retirement. I plan to stay very close to you. I'm going to miss you, seeing you every day. I can't say enough. I could go on for a couple hours, but I think we want to get this rolling. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate everything that you've done for our office. And you truly, in your time at Lake County, not only have you done well as an employee, you've done good. Most importantly, you've done good for the people of Lake County. So.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
So Dale Fellows, 2812 Fowler Drive in Willoughby Hills. So I can't add to anything to what Dante and especially Jan has talked about from the Board of Elections standpoint, but I wanted to talk about his community dedication and loyalty. And those two words have been used before, but they are certainly applicable to all the things he does in the community. For any event, if Tom Seymour knows about an event, is asked to help in an event, he is there ready to work and do whatever. And he jumps in to those events with both feet and without anyone even prompting him to do some of the things that needs to be done, like just tearing down at the end of an event, the work that no one wants to do. That's where Tom Seymour is. He is the epitome, in my mind, of the good citizen. When he took his oath of office, it wasn't just for the time he was in the Marine Corps, it was for life. And that's what he's been doing all his life. He continues. Look at this tie. He's always, I've seen sponsorship yard signs and things for different events, and it's Tom Seymour, but it's all about POWs and MIAs and KIA and at whatever. It's all about veterans. His work with the veterans. Now he's the re-elected as adjunct, well, not adjunct, a commandant of the State of Ohio Marine Corps League, right? So, and that's what a tribute to him and a tribute to that league for that. And as a student of George Washington, George Washington would be proud.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I can only say that it's always an honor and a privilege, first off, to live in a country that gives us the rights and the freedoms that we have, to have served with so many dedicated and devoted people, especially those that have given the last full measure, and to continue to serve with those in the Veterans Service Commission, as well as AMVETS, American Legion, Marine Corps League, and the VFW. I just feel honored and privileged to be able to do so, as well as to support all of that with working with all these great people behind me. It's no one person does everything. I'm just one small cog in a very big organization, and like a good Swiss watch, we all work well together. So thank you, appreciate it.
There simply aren't words to add to the testimonials that we've heard from the folks who know you best and who you've served side by side with for the people of Lake County. But I do want to say this. I sincerely pray to God that you have many, many years to enjoy this retirement and to continue to give back through the Marine Corps League and in your community, because everything that Tom Seymour touches, everything that he works with and in, becomes better. And if we're blessed to have Tom with us for another 20, 30, 40, 50 years, I know that Lake County will be the best place, not just in Ohio, but the nation, because you've been defending freedom and making this country better one way or the other your entire life. So God bless you, and amen, Tom.
Amen.
Gentlemen,
Mr. President, if I may.
Mr. Commissioner.
Tom, if I could just piggyback on your like a fine Swiss watch. Fine Swiss watch is defined by many jewels. Our Board of Elections has many jewels, including you. Thank you, sir, and thank you all for all that you do.
Mr. President, I'm not going to call you Tommy. I know you got a day left, so as a candidate on one of those calls, I know the feeling like, uh-oh, doom. But since my first time running for council and talking to Tom on the phone, it got to be where I need to speak to Tom Seymour. He knows exactly what I need to do. What do I do with bank fees? What do I do with these? How do we, those kind of questions he would gladly answer for us and help us all through our candidacy, because it's not an easy thing when you first run. It's kind of daunting task to fill out that paperwork and make sure that it's absolutely right. And Tom made sure it was absolutely right. My favorite story is the treasurer in my campaign called and said, "Tom, can I have a copy of one that's perfect?" And he goes, "Doesn't exist." So Tom, since then, seeing you, once a Marine, always a Marine, and so many color guards that you stand at, and so proud and perfect. I'm in awe and so happy that I met you and you've come across in my life and made my life better. So God bless you, and I hope you have a long and happy retirement.
So at this point, the commissioners would make one final request of you, which is to give us the honor of presenting you with a proclamation recognizing your years of service and your retirement, because all of Lake County wants to participate in celebrating your work and wishing you well in the next step.
Do we need to vote on it?
No, I don't think so. Do we?
No.
Is this a special? I don't think it's a resolution.
Just a certificate, right? Did I say that? Just a certificate? Sorry. You're the eye candy for this one. Okay.
Hope I don't break the
By the way, Jan, Dale, anyone from the board who wants to join, you're more than welcome to come on.
Grab one first.
Okay.
All of you, and then join.
Summer likes to take multiple.
Yeah. Got it.
Go ahead.
Come on.
Come on, guys.
Team effort. Yes, to see how the watch works.
Yeah, you can go in front.
It's hard to get it once you're on the side, so if you like.
All the do-si-do in here.
So now we return to our regularly scheduled programming with public portion. Anyone who would like to address the Board of Commissioners, please approach, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Chris Bahari, 185 West Jackson, Painesville. I just want to have a moment of silence and gratitude for all those that are working for public positions and public activities, and especially with my good friend Tom, that I had the privilege to work with for many, many years, and more than he has, but with Jan and everyone there. It has really been a pleasure that Lake County is really standing strong. And also I would like to add one moment of silence of prayer, since I am a prayerful person, as that the world clergy in Africa yesterday had a wonderful summit, and it was a prayer for peace for all of the world, that many great leaders and religious denominations and fractions prayed for one another and prayed for peace. Begins with me, that peace will be in the world. So one moment of silence. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion? Bishop?
Gerard Mabel, 1049 Brentwood Drive, Painesville, Ohio. It is a blessing to stand before you, commissioners, to say thank you for what you do in this life. I know it's not easy, but as you know, it's nothing about you, it's about the community. And that's exactly what I see. President Plechnik, when you were coming, and I never forgot the Bible was in your hand. You didn't know me from Adam, and you called me and I hold on the Bible. And I just want to say thank you for that. And the Bible is leading, the Bible is guiding, the Bible is directing, and that's wonderful. Each one of you, because of you, I have a place to go to pray on Saturday, except now I cannot go there. And I know, Commissioner Amelchek, thank you so much for inviting me there. And now I'm sending other people, other clergy, other pastors. When I stand here, I don't stand by myself. I stand with all my other pastors. We have 25 churches in the area, plus all the other churches that we have. But I also stand here to say happy birthday to a great lady. I met a lot of people, but my wife, the most wonderful person in the world that I love so dearly, Lady Bishop, today is your birthday. And I'm asking everyone that I stood with for 40 years in this area, if you know her number, call her, wish her happy birthday. Also, I'd like to say thank you to President Ruto, William Ruto of Kenya. You promised me that you will send the troops to help my homeland, and you did. I just want to say thank you to you, thank you to the Kenya government, and also thank you to the Kenya people, and also to the United States of America. Without United States, this will not happen. I'm so grateful and thankful. I have trouble. I was educated in French, Latin, and Greek with the English, but I love this country with my life. That's why I respect your office. You will never see me stand here and disrespecting you.
Thank you.
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive, average citizen on behalf of Lobbyists for Citizens. Regarding the tax budget, I reserve the right to come back to the commissioners after I've been able to analyze it. Some of the numbers are confusing to me, so I will be back to you. Also, I sent a records request because a Lake County citizen asked me to find out how much the commissioner's newsletter and the refrigerator magnets have cost. I haven't heard anything from the commissioners. I hopefully, they will be coming very shortly in honoring that request. The other request that I just sent in has to do with Lake County hospitals, something that I just learned this past week, that the Lake County hospitals used to be owned by the county. Therefore, that tells me that the taxpayers, paid for those buildings. And now somehow they're owned by, as I understand it, by a private nonprofit or for-profit entity. So I'm just trying to determine, how did that transition go from taxpayer-funded, now it is owned? Has there been any agreements and or money that has changed hands from the private sector to the public sector for those buildings? So that's the reason for that public records request. And then the last item has to do with, again, what Auditor Galloway was talking about, and that is the property revaluations from the sexennial. And I find my Christian brother and I, Leonard Gilbert, are on a mission to, our program is Save Our Seniors, SOS, and you'll be seeing this where we're losing the American dream one tax levy at a time. And Auditor Galloway is correct that for those citizens that are in the school districts that are at the 20 mil floor, there's going to be a substantial, increase. Where Auditor Galloway says that they may be, the average may be only a 9% increase in the tax value. You live in the Willoughby, Eastlake, Kirtland, and Perry, and also in Riverside, because with this 28.6 increase in valuations, the Riverside School District, and I have confirmed that with their CFO, they will be at the 20 mil floor, and it's extremely important. What concerns me is the state legislators. They know the seriousness of this property taxes and it's pricing seniors out of their homes. And what do they do about it? Well, I just read an article that coming from the Columbus State House that they don't believe that the tax increase in the property tax is really going to be an issue in the November ballot, so they're not worried about it. I just say anyone that is running in November, if you do not look at the property taxes, you do it at your own peril. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Gilda Spencer, 5580 Ford Road, Madison, Ohio. Well, gentlemen, my road is continually giving. Tuesday at 3:20, we lost our power, which is okay. People lose their power, except the power lines came down on the road on Trask and Ford. So, which meant we couldn't get out and nobody could get in. They had a fire truck parked across the road because of the danger. I get that. But once again, we're at peril. So this went on for almost, my grandson finally got to come home from work at 5:30. We still had no electric till 7:30. But I'm assuming that it's Leroy, because Trask and Ford in that section are Leroy, sent a fire truck. And we had a fireman who, when you went down the road and you stopped because you couldn't get through, and he says, you have to turn around and go back to 528 the way you came. And we're just looking at him, because the road is closed. You can't get to 528. And the one neighbor was going to check on his elderly mother, and he explained that to him, and he said, you have to go back the way you came. So what do you do then? So once again, when we had the semi across the road, nobody seemed to think that that was a big concern, and we were locked in there for over 3 hours. It happened again, and this stuff keeps happening all because of political reasons not to go ahead and vote on it and get it done. If you would have done it in the beginning, when I first started coming, and Mr. Plasnick, you told me in a couple of weeks, we would be done. The road would be fixed and we would be going up and down the road. But as it sits now, we're still back to no police, no buses, all the amenities. You can't get a fire rescue squad there because nobody wants to come there because we're not in their area. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Pekowski and let him go first today. But
Anyone
I'll
else?
speak after him.
Anyone else for public portion?
Reginald Black, 200 West Jackson Street. Bishop Maribel, I want to also say happy birthday to Lady Bishop. To my commissioners, to my administrators, I want to tell you today that I couldn't feel more happier being a resident of Lake County. Keep doing a good job, and you got my support.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion? You definitely were. Anyone else?
I'll offer Mr. Pekowski the floor first.
Well, one last call.
Chris Weiss, Leroy Township. Boss Plechnik, at this point, based upon what I've stated here at the podium in the last few weeks, I'm prepared to ask you to reimburse the citizens of Lake County $2,700, which is the amount that was paid out under purchase order 2298.86 in November of 2022. I have a copy of that right here. This is for the Fraser Video Productions work that you and you alone authorized to be done outside of the proper channels to expend public funds. So I'm going to ask you if you would agree that after this meeting, if you go to the bank and get a cashier's check made payable to the Lake County Treasurer and remit those funds to reimburse the citizens for your waste of public funds. Are you willing to do that, sir? What say you? I thought so. You know, you actually have set precedent for doing this because back in 2022 when you got busted for teaching law from your office, you gave $9,000 to the NAACP, which is supposedly represented the amount you got paid for teaching the class. I have a newspaper article here with your picture on it where you're standing here with the NAACP board, at least part of the board, and taking credit for giving them the money, turning adversity into something that benefits you once again. So again, I think that my request is altogether proper and fitting, and I would like to hear if you have a comment about that. Okay, so since it doesn't sound like you're going to be willing to comply, I've been talking with Auditor Galloway about initiating an investigation with the Ohio Auditor's Office and hoping to get a finding of recovery of these funds against you personally. Okay. You know, these activities correspond to the entirety of your goings-on during 2022. Additionally, I'm going to ask that you turn over publicly the course materials that you submitted for a grade of an A in the doctoral level course that you took with Liberty University entitled Public Administration, Ethics, Statesmanship, and Governance. These documents seem to be on point with your activities and whether or not you understood before you did it that what you were doing was wrong. These documents actually became the subject of interest in a case filed in the Lake County Probate Court, case number 2022 CV 1174. I'm going to call this the Immaculate Complaint because there's no notice of an appearance of an attorney at bar on the complaint, and apparently your political allies have filed this case against the entirety of the city of Willoughby Hills.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Weiss.
I'd like to ask for those documents to be turned over publicly as they reflect on your character.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Weiss.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Oh, you want to talk after all? How about that?
Let me talk. You had your chance, Mr. Weiss.
That's harassment.
Good morning. Brian Kolkowski, Leroy Township. I'm an attorney, corporate attorney downtown. Every week, this meeting has one individual accusing one of the county commissioners of implicitly illegal and on occasion immoral acts. It is my opinion this is being done to intimidate that commissioner to make him quit. If there were truly acts being done of this nature, then the Lake County prosecutor would not tolerate this. And further, in my opinion, I've seen no credible evidence in these accusations. As close as I can tell, and based strictly on my gut feeling, this stems from Commissioner Plechnik voting against a sales tax increase, which I understand would fund project and raises in Lake County that were not needed in his opinion. Eventually, the other two commissioners Hamercheck and Regovich, withdrew their votes for the sales tax increase after public outcry. But it can be reasonably assumed that Commissioner Hamercheck lost his primary to Morris Beverage, due in part to his position on this tax increase. I also understand that Commissioner Plechnik eventually endorsed Morris Beverage over Commissioner Hamercheck, which I suspect is a source of serious friction between Hamercheck and Plechnik. I'm currently seeking communications between Mr. Weiss and any of the commissioners because, in my opinion, if Mr. Weiss is coming in here at one of the commissioners' behest and talking about county business, then these are public records. It is my belief that if one of the commissioners is encouraging statements that, in my opinion, may be materially false and put forth with malicious purpose, in bad faith, or in wanton or reckless manner to attempt to influence or intimidate Mr. Plechnik, this would not be right, and we as members of the public should not allow good public officials such as Mr. Plechnik to be treated this way. Mr. Plechnik, thank you for sticking up for the public. Mr. Plechnik, thank you for sticking up for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion? Anyone else? Hearing none, on to resolutions. Madam Clerk.
In the Utilities Department, resolution authorizing final release of a 3-year maintenance surety for 8220 Mount Royal Drive, job number 14-87 in Concord Township.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hamercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing advertising for bids for limestone sand for the Lake County Department of Utilities, bid opening July 17, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hamercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing advertising for bids for fittings, repair parts, service equipment, and tools for the Lake County Department of Utilities, bid opening July 17, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hamercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Solid Waste Fund and Project Fund 597.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hamercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
And Job and Family Services Department, resolution approving Lake County Department of Job and Family Services vouchers, date of warrant July 5th, 2024, in the amount of $101,306.73.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hamercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
And the Commissioner's Office, resolution authorizing payment to various Lake County Police prosecutors for the first half of 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hamercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract in the amount of $87,700 to Merritt and Sons Excavating Incorporated for the Grand Ridge Point Drive Storm Sewer Outfall Repair Project in Concord Township, Ohio.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck,
Yes.
Commissioner Rigovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution reappointing Lake County Commissioner John R. Hammercheck and reappointing Lake County Commissioner John T. Plechnik to serve on the Ohio Public Works Commission District 7 Integrating Committee and designating alternates to serve on their behalf for 3-year terms expiring May 22nd, 2027.
Move to approve.
Second.
For my part, I just want to thank my alternate, Councilman Tony Bertone, for his willingness to continue service. He's been a stalwart on this committee, and when I'm not able to make it, it's wonderful to have someone with his expertise representing us. Any further discussion?
If I may, Mr. President, again, I'd like to follow your lead, and Randy, thank you. Frankly, Randy was one of the people who taught me how to better understand all of this, so it's an honor to have him as my alternate, because the value you bring to that board is beyond being able to put a price on it. So thank you, sir, for all that you do. Thank you, Mr. President.
When most of us saw Roethlisberger on the list, we almost voted no, but we confirmed it wasn't Ben, it's Randy, so it's okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck,
Yes.
Commissioner Rigovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Lake County Land Reutilization Corporation to demolish the buildings located at 197 North St. Clair Street, 215 North St. Clair Street, and 216 East Jackson Street in Painesville, Ohio, parcel number 15D46, parcel number 15D410, and parcel number 15D411.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck,
Yes.
Commissioner Rigovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the President of the Lake County Board of Commissioners to execute an agreement between the Lake County Board of Commissioners, Lake Metropolitan Housing Authority, LMHA, and Regional Economically Affordable Housing, Reach for Home, for funds received from the U.S. Department of Treasury under the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, known as the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck,
Yes.
Commissioner Rigovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing an agreement between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and Fair Housing Resource Center Incorporated for the implementation of Emergency Rental Assistance Program 2, ERAP 2 funds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck,
Yes.
Commissioner Rigovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution approving a change of the membership of the Lake County Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board to increase the board size from 14 to 15 members, effective July 1st, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? I would just say for my part, we're very deeply grateful to all of those who volunteer as members of the Adams Board. This change comes out of the state budget that was adopted last year that changed the ratio of appointees from county government and the state to 2/3, 1/3, and adding one member from 14 to 15 makes the board divisible by 3 so that we can meet that ratio. And very grateful to our county administrator, Jason Boyd, for being our representative and having this dialogue with the Adams Board before this vote. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck,
Yes.
Commissioner Rigovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $3,765,404.57.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Rigovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $1,215,794.34.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Rigovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Rigovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution transferring cash and appropriations within various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes. With the conclusion of resolutions, it's time for departmental reports, starting with utilities.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to talk a little bit about lead in drinking water and some of the rules that are involved with that and how it's going to affect, how it does affect our water department. Start with a little history. In 1991, Congress passed an amendment to the Safe Drinking Water Act called the Lead and Copper Rule. And what that did is it required utilities to test their water to determine if there was lead, in fact, leaching into the drinking water, and how to go about rectifying that. And there's several ways to do that. The way that Lake County has been doing it since 1991 is through the water treatment process. So we've been testing our water since then, and have always been in compliance with the lead and copper rule for the last 30 years. With things happening in Flint, Michigan and other places, they've been upping what they are requiring. The testing now is not good enough. Ultimately, what the EPA is looking for is a complete removal of lead service lines and lead inside of homes to prevent any lead leaching into the system. So what that involves with us is currently we're creating an inventory, which is the first step that's required under this new lead and copper revision from 2021. So we need to be able to identify of all of our 45,000 plus or minus services if they is in fact lead or not, or if it's unknown. So that's the first step, and we're in the middle of that. The next step will be notifying anybody that is either known lead or unknown that of the potential of having lead service line. And right now we're in that process, and we're looking at upwards of 15 or 20,000 letters that will be going out to customers in the next several months. So I just want to start talking about that and making sure that everybody's aware that this is going out, not that there's lead been tested in our drinking water in Lake County, but the fact that that's required. That is a requirement by EPA by October 16th, I believe, of this year. All that work has to be completed, and then ultimately the date hasn't been stated yet, but it's been recommended by EPA that all lead service lines are actually removed from the system within 10 years. The American Water Works Association understands the enormity of that solution, and have been negotiating with EPA to try to get that date extended or something changed with that. But I just wanted to bring everybody's attention to the fact that there will be 20,000 or so residents or customers receiving letters in the mail stating that it's possible that their service connection could be lead, and that there could be action taken over the next several years. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Oh, Mr. Commissioner.
Do you guys test water if people bring it to you from their service?
For lead, yes. We'll go out and test for lead. There's a procedure that we use to do that. The water has to be stagnant in the house for at least 6 hours prior to that. So there's a procedure, but we will test lead for anybody that requests it.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Roethlisberger? Hearing none. Job and Family Services.
No report today, Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Yes, I wanted to mention that county offices are going to be closed on Thursday, July 4th, which means there will be no commissioner meeting next week. Our next meeting is actually scheduled for Tuesday, and it's July 9th at 10 a.m.
Thank you. Legal.
Just so the record's clear, Commissioners, Mr. Massey mentioned a public records request. That came to me, and I anticipate getting the information out to him today.
Thank you. And did you receive the email I forwarded you with Mr. Massey's other request with respect to Lake Health?
I did,
Good.
Yes.
Thank you. Any further report?
Nothing.
Okay, then old business. Any old business before the commission? Hearing none. Any new business?
To wish everybody a happy Independence Day. Won't be back till after.
You beat us to it. It's pretty incredible to think that we're just 2 years away from the 250th anniversary of the founding of this nation. And as we get closer and closer, the celebrations just increase. So I look forward to a blessed and safe 4th of July weekend. And I hope that everyone is refreshed and twice as patriotic when we come back a week later on Tuesday, July 9th. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
So moved. Or second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Pletchnik.
Yes, we stand adjourned.